What's going on, Washington fans? Welcome to Bleacher Report. I am Josh Taylor at Josh Taylor FB on all social media, and I'm here to calm down the fan base. I'm here to really have a coming together meeting because it seems like after the last two games, this fan base is going back to their toxic ways. You see it on social media. I see it in the chats of all the streams and videos I do. It seems like the loss to the Eagles has really set this fan base back. And I'm here to tell y'all that everything will be okay. This stream is for really just checking our expectations. Is Washington, was this a reality check? Did Jaden Daniels hit this rookie wall? These are all things I've seen. Like, Washington just can't beat the good teams. I don't think that's true. I don't think any of that's true, to be honest with you. So I just want to go through the schedule, talk about expectations, talk about like how we even got here. Like we don't even belong where we are. If you remember what this team is, Washington should not even be 7-4 right now. We should be ecstatic that we're 7-4. And it just seems like the fan base, after losing to Pittsburgh and then losing to Philadelphia, just that massacre through the state of Pennsylvania for whatever reason, has just set the fan base back. And I'm here to bring us back together, y'all. Because in my opinion, I think Washington's fine. I think we still go on a run to end the season. I think we still make the playoffs, which once again, we have no business being in. And I think anything's possible when you get to the playoffs. So let me pull this up. I got a couple things to share with y'all, like I said on the screen. Let's talk about it, guys. Everything is okay. So as I mentioned, Washington starts out. Obviously, I was at that Tampa game. Not a good game. It was bad. But that was the first game of the season, like as a whole team. And I think it's important to start with this. The Washington Commanders had the most roster turnover in the entire NFL going into this season. Let me make my head a little bigger, as if it's not big enough. The Washington Commanders had to completely revamp their entire roster in free agency and in the draft, which, by the way, Adam Peters did a phenomenal job at with finding these guys like Jeremy Chin, Dante Fowler, Austin Eckler, Zach Ertz, like bringing in these free agents that people were like, what? And Tyler Biadasz, like some of these long-term guys too. Like I said, Tyler Biadasz is one of those guys. I think Fowler could want to stay here for a while. Who knows? But just doing a great job. And then going to the draft, getting guys like Jaden Daniels. Mike Sainristil has been phenomenal, by the way. Brandon Coleman, Ben Sinnott. I mean, you can go down the line. I think this draft class was really good. I think Adam Peters, for a team that had to do what they did, for having to change up the entire roster. I mean, guys, we gutted the roster. I'm not even just saying this. Like, the data shows Washington had the most turnover roster-wise in the league. But then also coaching, front office. If there was a move, if there's a position that exists, we changed it. Head coach, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, passing game coordinator, running game coordinator. You name it. DB coach, running game coach. We made the changes. And then, like I said, up into the front office as well. We made so many changes. I don't think anyone expected us to be here. And the fact that we are, like I said, it just against all odds. And I will say, like, just looking at the schedule, it was a favorable schedule, but this is still the NFL. You still have to come out and compete every Sunday, Monday, Thursday. Whenever you're playing, you still got to play. So that Tampa Bay game, obviously, like I said, just Tampa Bay was a good team. And they still are, dealing with a lot of injuries, like a lot of teams in the league are. But, I mean, I wasn't expecting them on that one, honestly. But then going on a run, winning 4 straight. New York, beating Cincinnati, who is a good team, by the way. I know their record. I've watched their games. That's a good team. They have the passing leader. They have the receiving leader. Trey Hendrickson's been the sack and like leader for the whole season. Like, they're a good team. Why they don't win games, I don't know. But we went to Cincinnati on a Monday night and we beat the Bengals. And then we go to Arizona, beat them on a semi-short week, not really. And then come back home, beat the Browns. And then in the most anticipated game of the year, I think still, honestly, even after the Eagles game. I think this was the most anticipated game just because of what it felt like going into it. Traveling to Baltimore, only losing by 7 in a game that was much uglier than that. A game where we just gave up so many big plays. I was like, okay, this was the first, I'd say second test for us, like after Cincinnati. Like I said, I'm not really first game of the season. That didn't exist to me. The Tampa Bay game didn't happen. The Ravens game, I was like, we can hang with good teams. We just know what our weaknesses are. And I'm not saying that Washington's the perfect team by any means, because that's not true at all. And I think everyone should agree with that. But I think for what they did and what they have on the roster right now, this is a way better team than people realize. And I'm still buying into the hype, and my expectations are still sky high for this team because I watched them. And then we, obviously whooped Carolina. Chicago game, crazy. Took years off my life watching that. That was the one home game I've been to so far this season. Like I said, took years off my life. Very stressful. Looking back at it, we should have beat them by more than that. We just couldn't finish drives. Offense stalled out. Same with the New York drive. It should not have been that close. I mean, the New York game should not have been that close in the second one, but we swept them. So we had first place in the NFC East up until this point. Lost to Pittsburgh at home, 28-27. And once again, a game that was so winnable. Like looking back at it and rewatching it, I'm like, why did we not win this game? They gave us so many opportunities. They wanted us to win this game. The Steelers literally gave us the ball with that punt or that fourth down. Like, what were they doing? We could not capitalize. It's frustrating. And I think a lot of fans realized, okay, Pittsburgh's a great team. I mean, they beat the Ravens. Like, they're probably going to win the division. It would not surprise me if they. I mean, I just don't know why the Ravens can't ever beat them, but looking back at it, that was such a physical game too. And we're on this stretch of 10 games not having a bye week yet. I think that is massive, and it's something a lot of people have talked about, but I don't think it's been considered enough. Going through that stretch, having that physical game with Pittsburgh, and then having to go to Philadelphia on a short week on a Thursday night when the defense showed up. The defense showed up. Offense didn't. We had them for 3 quarters, and then the fourth quarter, Saquon Barkley just took over. And everything just kind of fell apart. And I think that's what really has fans just like, oh, we're the same team. This is the same Washington team that I know. Jaden Daniels hit his rookie wall. People have the film on him now. Can't beat good teams. We're just not there yet. I think you can say we're not there yet, but this can still be a good team. There's plenty of teams that have won, big games, made playoff runs that just weren't there yet. Hell, we saw the Giants win the Super Bowl when they really didn't have no business being there, but they got hot. They played well. They took care of business. Not saying that we're going to go to the Super Bowl. Of course, that would be nice. But when it comes down to it, that Pittsburgh and Philadelphia game was the hardest 2-game stretch of the entire season. Even the rest of the schedule, that was it. With the opponents, probably the 2 best teams we'll play all season. I'd say they are. Baltimore, I don't know. Their defense is so bad. That's the toughest 2-game stretch. From a Sunday to Thursday with the time, with the opponents. That 2-game loss should not change how you feel. And I get it because you watch the Philly game and you watch our offense just go from what it was for all those weeks. And they still put up 27 points on Pittsburgh, who doesn't do that. By the way, I think they've only done that once this season, if I'm not mistaken, besides us. And then we saw it just stall out against Philadelphia, and we just kind of like, let's lower expectations. But you shouldn't. You shouldn't at all. Like, this has been a good season so far for us. Like, let's just look. Like, Jaden Daniels hit his rookie wall. No, my boy's still hooping. And he had the injury. And we're taking that into consideration. They say he's healthy now. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. But I will just say he does look off right now. I don't think it's the offense as a whole. I think this team was banged up. I mean, we had 3 tackles that have been on the injury report for like the last almost 2 weeks now. We've been banged up. I mean, this team just going through that stretch of a bye week that didn't exist and then playing on a short week. It just was not an ideal scenario. Jaden Daniels is still leading for Rookie of the Year right now. Bo Nix is trying. But I think Jaden Daniels is still Offensive Rookie of the Year right now. Like, I think it's his. Unless something just terrible happens the last few weeks of the season, which I feel good about. These are all like get right games. We have the bye week coming up. We'll take a look at it here in a minute. But almost 70% completion percentage, 2,300 passing yards, 10 touchdowns, only 3 interceptions. And he was running the ball really well, 482 yards and 4 touchdowns on the ground for Jaden Daniels. And that's with having his injury, not having this bye week, the whole team being banged up. B-Rob's been hurt. Eckler's been hurt. I mean, and Terry still, even with not doing much of anything against the Eagles, is still on pace to having one of the best season of his career. He already tied. I think he has 4 games of 100 yards this season, which is his career high in a season, and he's already done that. We have so many games left. Terry has 721 yards and 6 touchdowns. He's averaging 15 yards of a catch. And I don't want to be that guy, but like, look at the rest of the team. We knew coming into this season that Washington lacked offensive weapons, that Washington lacked some explosive guys outside Terry McLaurin. That's why they were brought up when it came to Ayuk. That's why they were brought up a couple times at the trade deadline. Like, oh, there's some smoke. Washington's been asking for wide receivers. But we trade for Marshon Lattimore, which corner was a massive need. That was the biggest need. And I'll talk about Marshon a little bit on here. But there's no way you trade all that premium draft capital and then do it again for a guy like Amari Cooper or D-Hop, or like one of those trades that happened, Deontay Johnson. It's just, which wasn't really a premier pick looking back at it. But you just don't do that. You can only fix but so much in a single season. You can't expect but so much to happen in one season. So what Jaden Daniels has done, and this is going towards the people like, oh, he's hit his rookie wall, it gets over, but he's still having a great season. The best out of offensive rookies, in my opinion. I'd say out of any position. Now, like I said, these awards are very quarterback friendly. But even if you don't take that into consideration, like I said, Bo Nix, in my opinion, him and Brock Bowers is doing crazy things with the Raiders, by the way. If you're not caught up on what Brock Bowers is doing, you need to. But I think Jaden Daniels still has the throne as Offensive Rookie of the Year as of right now. Now, like I said, he's got to get things going. I'm not worried about it. They said he's not hurt. They said really what's hurt him has been just missing practice with that injury, how he did, and then having that short week. We can't let a 2-game stretch of the hardest guys that we're going to face this season really determine how we feel about this team. Because all season long so far, they've exceeded every expectation we had. So Jaden Daniels, in my opinion, still having a great season. The Eagles game, I would love to erase that out of my memory. It was bad. I get it. But what did you expect on a short week with a banged-up quarterback? A whole banged-up team, honestly. The Eagles were completely healthy. They were getting guys back on a short week. And we were like losing guys and just trying to get guys active and trying to get guys to play in that game. What did you expect out of that game? I promise y'all, if that game was against the Falcons, I don't think we feel any different than how we did before that game. I think the fact that it was against the Eagles, and as much as they talk and as much as we hate the Eagles, I think that is what has determined how we feel about the team coming out of that game. I think that's got a lot to do with it. And then also looking at like how we built for the future, guys. We have so much money right now, it's not even funny. Even after the moves we've made and everything, we are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're 6th and salary cap as of today for 2024. And guess what, guys? In 2025, we don't know what it's going to be. But looking at available cap space, we are fourth. We have a ton of money to spend this offseason in free agency. Now, we do have a lot of guys we've got to try to re-sign. We've got to get some other free agents in here, but we do have a lot of guys that were on like one-year deals or their contracts expire this year coming up. So we're still going to be molding and shifting this roster around. But guys, how we were built, it was built for success. We weren't just taking these big swings. I mean, look at all these teams that are the Jets. Look at the Jets. If you want to see how a team is built poorly, it doesn't matter how sexy it looks on paper. It doesn't matter the names you have on the team. If it's not working, Aaron Rodgers, they went and got Devontae Adams. They did everything they could, and now they're firing everybody and they're cleaning house. They wanted to bench Aaron Rodgers after like week 4. An article just came out saying that. That's terrible. Like, we are a very well-run organization now. And I think it's so funny to see a lot of fans coming at me and they're like, Josh, this is the same Washington teams. Nothing's changed. This is what our expectations should have been for this team. That's what it's going to look like the rest of the season. If we make the playoffs, whatever, who cares? Like, not at all. Not at all. You should be excited for the future, but you should be pumped for this season still because of what we've already seen and what can still come later on in the season. Like I said, Jaden Daniels is killing it. You want to talk about EPA? And like, oh, what's EPA, Josh? This is as of today. This isn't 2 weeks ago. Adjusted EPA per play leaderboard 2024. Shout out to Computer Cowboy who comes up with these charts. Adjusted for pass protection, receiver drops, dropped interceptions, luck on interceptable passes, fumble recoveries, interception returns, and giving credit for expected yards after the catch only and accounting for defenses faced. So this literally takes into account everything. The lack of wide receiver talent, the defenses we've had to face, dropped interceptions, receiver drops, pass protection, which has actually been pretty good this year. The last 2 games, it's been rough. And I think that just comes to health. Like I said, everyone's been banged up on the O-line and the short week. The season's weighing on them. And Jaden Daniels is still second out of every quarterback in adjusted EPA, 0.23. So what they're saying is, and the one thing I like about EPA, it's like this is what he's expected to do. This is the yards he's expected to get. This is the completions he's expected to get. Touchdowns, interceptions, everything taking into account of this. And he just always performs above what's expected. Even with the injury, even with the lack of talent, guys, Jaden Daniels is going to be fine. Jaden Daniels is absolutely going to be fine. And I love seeing these numbers, and I love seeing the breakdowns. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm a numbers nerd, but I love seeing the details of things because you can look at the game cast, you can look up the stats, and you can think one thing about a game, but until you go back and watch the tape, you go back and check the numbers, you start to get a different feel for things. And I'm agreeing with everybody that Eagles game was ugly. Something was off with Jaden Daniels. The passes weren't the same. They didn't have that velocity I've seen. I'm not saying that Jaden Daniels is still playing super well. He does have to play better. Absolutely has to play better. But the defenses he faced with the Steelers and that Eagles defense, guys, that's the 2 best defenses we will face all season. That Eagles defense deserves much more credit than they've been getting because the offense sucked minus Saquon Barkley, and they dominated that game on defense. That's how you win games. And I think that's what Washington is going to be coming to soon. Adding Marshon, Lattimore, hopefully soon. And then the offense adds weapons, starts clicking again. It's been a tough 2-game stretch, y'all. I don't know how else to tell y'all. It's not a Jaden Daniels problem. Is he still hurt? I don't think he's as hurt as he was, obviously, but he looked uncomfortable a lot of times in that Philly game. I mean, you could just tell like on some of the passes, and they said he's fine, but I don't know. I think this mini bye that we had, like looking back at it, now we have the Cowboys on Sunday, and then we have the Tennessee game on the 1st. I'll be there, by the way. Let me know if y'all are going. And then we finally have our bye week. A week 14 bye week should be illegal. Just like the teams that have like a week 5, week 6 bye, that should not be allowed. Like, I think bye week should go from week like 7 to 13 or 12 somehow. Like, just figure it out. That's so bad on teams. You have a bye week and then you play 4 more games and that's it. That is terrible. And like, if anything, this Thursday night should have been like up here some. So you have like a mini bye. Like, they should space it out for teams. Like, whoever built our schedule, I loved the opponents we had to face, but just the spacing on everything was as bad as it could get. And I think we still handled it so well, minus the Eagles and Pittsburgh run. But that's expected for this younger, revamped team. We go 7-2. It's an historic run. 7-2 for the first time in forever. You lose one, you go 7-3. You lose another, go 7-4. It's not the end of the world, though. I think this Dallas game is as get right of a game as possible. We saw what Dallas looks like against the Texans. That team is so checked out. The fans are checked out. You got Micah. Like, I love Micah Parsons, and he's standing on business. The players are frustrated, and they should be. But they suck. They are so bad. Dak is out for the year. Like, what's the expectations for that team? Their season's done. They're not going to the playoffs. They need to figure stuff out. But we saw how they looked against the Texans, and it's bad. Cooper Rush is not good. We have them Sunday at home, and this is a pissed off Washington Commanders team, y'all. That's what I like so much more about this team. If you can't hear these players talk and you can't see the way they play and just how they handle things and just tell that it's different than even like last year and just the years past, drastically different team. And it's mostly because of 1, coaching, 2, leadership, and 3, belief. This team believes that they're good. They know they're good. The guys in that locker room see what's happening, see how things are being built. They see what Adam Peters is willing to do. They see how Dan Quinn is, and they believe. They know that they're a good team. So I think this Dallas game is the get-right game. I'm just going to sit back and laugh when Jaden comes out there, throws. I want to say he throws for 300, but if we bench him early because of how much the score is, like, we run the score up on him. Like, I can't even throw out stats because I don't know if he plays the whole game because of how much we should beat these guys by. Their defense sucks. The run defense terrible. We should run the ball down their throat for 4 quarters and make them quit. If I had to pick, that's what I would want to do. But at the same time, I want Jane to get his just so he can get that award again, Rookie of the Week against Dallas. But then also just calm the fans down. I would love a Jaden Daniels 300-yard game. 3 touchdowns. I would love that. But I just know we're going to come out and run the ball down their throat and make them quit. This is a DQ game too. Like, he didn't get fired or anything like that, but that's his former squad. Dorrance Armstrong, Fowler, like, that's their squad. DQ's just going to run the ball down their throat. Coach Witt, like, they are chomping at the bits for this game. They finally got to rest with this mini bye week, had some extra time. They can recalibrate, revamp, whatever you want to call it. They're going to smoke Dallas. I can't wait for that one. They're going to smoke Dallas. And the fan base is going to be fine. And then we're going to whoop Tennessee. And then we get our real bye week where guys can get healthy. And then we can go on this stretch at the end. Now, New Orleans, say what you want about them. They're streaky. I don't know what's going on with them, but like, they look terrible and they do some crazy stuff and just show out randomly. I don't know what to expect out of them. I still don't think they're a good team, But that's the Marshon Lattimore game. And I'll say this, by the way. This is my belief. Marshon is not going to play against Dallas. And I wouldn't play him against Tennessee. Let him get healthy that week. And then during the bye week, that is when you start really just implementing him into the defense. Talk about schemes. Talking about packages. Getting him familiar with the defense. There's no reason to rush it against Tennessee. Run what you have against Tennessee. And then that bye week, you get Marshon Lattimore just kind of just merged in with the defense to where that New Orleans game, he's making his debut against his former team. That's how I see it going. Take advantage of that real bye week and get him going on the defense. And then we have Philly, Atlanta. It's a tough 2-game stretch there too. I still think Pittsburgh is better than Atlanta. I'm not really scared of Atlanta. Get them at home. And then we end at Dallas on the season before we go to the playoffs. And this is what I'm going to end on. Like I said, y'all, I think we've got, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more games. I think we only lose, 1. I think we go Dallas 8-4, 9-4, 10-4. I don't want to get swept by them. 11-4. 11-5. I'll be nice. And then I don't even know if we play our starters or what. But still, Marcus Mariota against Dallas should still win. So 12-5, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12-5. 12-5, and we're going to the playoffs. And as of now, this is what the NFC playoff picture looks like. Which, by the way, guys, we're still in it. The Lions have a first-round bye. The NFC is crazy, by the way. Look at the AFC. This is a cakewalk. Compared to, in my opinion, the NFC. Like, the Chargers, Broncos are 6-5, and they have them making the playoffs. The Ravens need to get their stuff together. I would love that game, by the way. Another Ravens-Steelers game in the playoffs. But, I would love the Chargers. I would love the Broncos compared to facing the Eagles or the Packers. There's still a lot that has to shape out here. And by the way, the Vikings, Packers, and Lions still have to keep playing each other. And we still have to play the Eagles, and we still have to play the Falcons, who are now 6-5, by the way. So my prediction, and this is my expectations for the rest of the season, I think ceiling 12-5 to finish. At worst, 11-6. And I think Washington is the 5 seed. We're not winning the NFC East now because of the Eagles game, unless the Eagles just crumble at the end of the season and we beat them, obviously. We can only lose one game, if that. We pretty much have to win out to win the NFC East, unless, like I said, the Eagles just kind of fall apart at the end of the season. But I don't see that happening. I think Washington is a 5 seed. I think Lions get the 1, Eagles get the 2. I don't know who the heck's going to get the 3, to be honest with you. And the Falcons maybe jump up. We'll see. Like I said, we got to beat them. But guys, I'm here to tell y'all the loss to the Steelers and the Eagles felt terrible. But from beginning of the season to even when the games were happening, first off, no one thought we would be there. No one thought we would be this good so far. A couple of people were like, oh, I thought so. I even said this is a 9-win team, and people are like, whoa, Josh, chill out. 9 wins? 9 wins with a rookie quarterback, with all these new players, some random free agents, with a draft class is going to, be asking a lot out of them. 9 wins? And now 9 wins, it seems easy. And I think we still make the playoffs. But I think in our hearts, if we looked at it, that Steelers and Eagles game, the way they set us up, and the health-wise, time-wise, and the schedule, and then just who we were playing, that was not an easy stretch. But I still think we finished great. I still think this team's way ahead of schedule. The things I'm looking for the rest of the season is Jaden Daniels, obviously, Mike Sainristil and Marshon Lattimore on the field together when that happens, which I think will be the Saints game. And then down the stretch, I want to see this team compete and see what they could do in the playoffs. am so sure this team's making the playoffs unless something terrible happens. And if it does, I will come on here and I will say, guys, I was wrong. We should hit the panic button. But I'm not even close to that yet, to be honest with you. It sucked losing to the Eagles, but I'm not close to panicking yet because I think this team makes it to the playoffs. I would like it to see the team like the Falcons or the Packers or the Vikings look beatable now, or the Cardinals. We already smoked them once. Give me the Cardinals again. You never know what happens when you make it to the playoffs. So everybody calm down. We're fine. We're way ahead of schedule. We're building for the future, but we're also built to succeed right now. And I feel good about the rest of our schedule. Let me know what y'all think. Appreciate y'all for stopping by here on the stream. And let's beat Dallas. Let's get back to our winning ways. Let's get back to being excited about this season. We're not all doom and gloom. Season's over. Can't beat good teams. Whatever. I don't care if Dallas is bad this year. A win against Dallas fixes anything and everything. So appreciate y'all, and I'll see y'all next time here on Bleacher Report. Peace.